Breaking news, Spotify's co-founder Daniel Ek is to leave the CEO position role in 2026. And why does this matter to creators and musicians? Because it could signal a change in how Spotify approaches artists, royalties, platform policies, and even power structures. I remember when I saw Daniel Ek speak at Midem back in 2012, and everybody was hating on him for, the low payout streams. It was Bob Lefsetz who was interviewing him. And I remember, honestly, I was loving Spotify. It was a game changer for me. But just today, September 30th, he's announced that he's going to be stepping down and transitioning just to executive chairman January 1st, 2026. And supposedly, 2 long-term Spotify executives are going to be becoming the co-CEOs. So that's going to formalize the change. And why is that happening? And what will Ek do next? Well, his focus is going to be more on long-term strategies, capital allocation, regulatory manners, and guiding Spotify through the next decade, okay? And you got to remember, I've been doing this for almost 25 years, doing music. And I remember when iTunes came in and disrupted everything. I remember when mp3.com came in, MySpace, right? Napster, living through all that. And there were all these different changes. And I always find it's the pioneers who have the most arrows in the back. And people can hate all they want, but if you've watched my channel for a while, I'm thankful for Spotify. I really am. I'm thankful for Daniel for creating it. Sure, I want the royalties to be bigger, but at the same time, he killed the piracy where people were just stealing the music, burning the CDs, copying the cassette tapes. I did that back in the day on a few of my favorite albums or borrowed from friends, but now he made it so low so people could just stream the music. And that's how artists were able to, sell so many catalogs and have a value. Like when I look at my TuneCore account or my CD Baby account or my DistroKid account, right? If I look at any of those, who has the most royalty, the biggest payouts? It's Spotify. It's just because they're the biggest platform. But here's some context and maybe a backdrop of why maybe and the concerns of Daniel Ek is because his investment in the firm Prime Emerita, which is a defense tech company. And obviously there's the concerns with AI and all the military stuff. And so people are really concerned about that. And there's all this backlash and obviously the policy changes with AI right now and AI artists. So we're in a very disruptive space right now, right? But as a artist, as a business person, you are wearing the business hat, okay? And you are the entrepreneur. And you really need to think you need to grow your business and you want to grow your influence. And you made music probably not just to make money with it. If you're like me, I just got into it because I just wanted to share the message of Jesus with people, right? And then I found that the money came after I put the music first. Well, Spotify was just the distribution platform. Sure, we upload it to DistroKid and to CD Baby, and then they send it out to all these DSPs, right? Digital service provider. That would be Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. And Spotify just happens to be the biggest one. The one that maybe not pays the most, but has the most users on it. And if your goal is to reach as many people, well, then that's what you want to do. We could argue that there's ethical issues with all the companies, whether that's Amazon, Microsoft, Google, we could name all of them. When you become a $1 billion+ company, trillion, I'm sure there's certain, decisions that you have to make, whether, that kind of check your moral compass, going to that level. I'm not saying always you have to be evil to make money, because I'm definitely not about that. I believe you can be prosperous and do things right, but nobody's perfect is what I'm trying to say. And I think that this is just another opportunity for us to keep promoting and marketing our music. My only regret, if I could go back to 2012 or go back even further when I first heard about Spotify, and I want to challenge everybody watching this right now, is why didn't I invest in their stock? Right now it's trading at 687. It actually did a pretty big drop. It was at its all-time high here. It looks like it was at about 767. But if we go back to even 2020, 2019, $114, right? And we could keep going back. I don't know why my scroller's not letting me scroll back to 2012 here. I can try and scroll it back. But I can definitely tell you the stock would have been a lot cheaper. And the question I want to ask is, why as artists and creatives, and this goes to all of us, whether you make videos, you're just a creative musician, right, singer, why are we just using these companies and not investing in them? Like if you had invested in Spotify back then when it was $100 or less, you would have 6 times your money. Instead of just making YouTube videos or me making music videos to go on the YouTube platform, and I'm thankful for YouTube, I'm thankful for Google. Why didn't I invest in Google? Why didn't I buy this stock and invest and become an owner in the company? Because the CEO of Google or the CEO of Microsoft working for me or the CEO, Steve Jobs, like it makes me think about when I used to tour with an iPod. Okay, I used to just tour with an iPod back in the day, and that cost me $250, $300. Had I invested that in Apple stock, how many years ago? What would that have been worth today? So I think as artists and creatives, yes, we want to keep creating because that's what we love to do. We love to make the music, but it's important that we have the money to sustain the message, to push it forward, to get it out there. So yeah, we make the music, we make the art, but we need the money to sustain the message. And so I think it's really important that we put our entrepreneur hats on and our business hats on and start investing in these companies. And I'm not saying to invest in Spotify or anything right now. It's the market is very, very high. I think we need to start buying stocks and investing in companies when it's Black Friday. And I don't mean Black Friday in November. I mean Black Friday when it's a recession, when it's like a meltdown, like in April, when the tariffs came in and everybody's like, oh, the world's going to end. And that's when there's all this fear and nobody wants to buy. But we got to train ourselves like we do in November when it's Black Friday. It's like sale. Well, the next time there's a sale on, I encourage you to buy, to invest. Now, this isn't financial advice. I'm just a YouTuber here. I don't know what I'm talking about, right? So this isn't financial advice. I don't know what I'm actually talking about. But I just want to maybe challenge you to think a little differently here as an investor in these companies instead of honestly just being pimped out by them, right? Just being used for our art, for our music, for our videos, for everything, for our culture, right? And being used by it and start profiting on it so that we can continue to provide for our families, make more music, and bring more music into the musicians' pockets instead of just going into into Wall Street, to be honest with you. Like it should be like we're the ones that these platforms are riding on. If our music wasn't on these platforms, there wouldn't be anything to watch. If I didn't make this video, there wouldn't be anything to watch. If I didn't put music on Spotify, there wouldn't be anything to listen to. There wouldn't be anything for them to run ads on. And this is the same thing with Facebook and Instagram ads. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Meta ads, Facebook and Instagram. Spent tens and tens of thousands on YouTube ads, right? Imagine I was an owner and had that much stock. It'd probably be a different question right now, right? But the thing is, like, we normally like to buy when it's hot and when it's like, it's like when the artist is hot. We're like, oh, we get behind them and all the buzz. Like, yeah, I supported that artist from day one, man. I supported that artist from day one, right? And it's like, well, why didn't you support them back in the day? And that's because that takes risk. And so it takes risk, it takes faith, it takes courage to step out and just start and get in the game, not when it's popular, but maybe just when it's the right time. With Daniel Ek leaving, what I would encourage artists is continue to diversify, okay? Platforms come and go, all right? Maybe Spotify will be around for the next 5 to 10 years. That is my main royalty stream, but another one could pop up. One thing you might want to keep growing is just growing your social media, growing your influence, growing your email list. Just continue to make great music and just pay attention to what's going on. Because what I've noticed, if you've got a following, you've got a real fan base, when the next platform does pop up, if it does, then your fans will follow you over there, right? But we've got to be willing to adapt, okay? Like I said, I've been in this game for a long time, and we built a big audience on MySpace. It's not there anymore. It's gone, right? I remember we built ones on other platforms, and they're not there. I never really got into Snapchat or whatnot, but these social media platforms might not all be there, so you got to make sure that you are ready to jump to the next one and keep growing. But the music is going to rise to the top. I want to remind you that a fighter isn't someone who never fails. A fighter is someone who never quits.